Hello everyone, I'm Ron Grant coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the Virgin Islands. You're watching 284 Media. Just for the record, our election series that is, continues, chronicling the journey of the 13 members of the House of Assembly. Each of them have been invited to participate in this series to chronicle their first 100 days in office. Today I'm joined by the Honorable Stacy Mather, who is the at-large representative, one of four, and also the Deputy Speaker for the House of Assembly. Honorable Mather, thank you for your time and welcome back.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Now, the last time we sat down in this exact same format was on the campaign trail, where you really shared with the public what you wanted to do if elected. Now, you are elected. What has the first 100 days looked like for you?
I would like to thank those who voted for me and those who encouraged me. I think that's the first thing. And then give thanks to the Father for the guidance and the opportunities, for the doors that have been opened. The last 100 days has been incredibly interesting and enlightening. I have been out of the public service for, I think, almost 20 years. So getting back into the public service I see our elected leaders as civil servants, public servants. So as a political person now, I've had to dig deep and familiarize myself the best I can with policies that government has, regulations, expectations in terms of what an elected official does in the role as a territorial representative, at-large member, opposition member, and then, more recently after election would have been the Deputy Speaker's role. Enlightening, and that's what it's been in terms of the last 100 days. But it's been enjoyable.
Okay, I'm happy to hear that it's an enjoyable journey for you. You received the highest votes in the at-large. Some 3,612 persons voted for you. When you put that in hindsight, as I reflect, and of course I took the opportunity to review our Just for the Record interview that was conducted, and you spoke very highly of wanting to help persons. Mm-hmm. Would you say that you have been able to help within the first 100 days?
I would say that I have helped people that are more tangible, or I should say more acceptable. When I wasn't elected, one of my biggest challenges was getting in contact with our elected officials. A simple phone call or a call back, a message back or something like that. Now, a lot of our persons or citizens in the BVI, they have a diverse number of needs, and many of them are financial. In the role in which I sit, based on regulations after the COI, the financial requests are not something I can honor directly. Some people want just information, and I've tried my best, and I think I've been good at it. Like I said, learning the processes, where should you to get? What is the limit to which you can? What is the process? So I would say for me, I've been effective in gathering information, pointing people in directions where they can get in whatever way they're trying to get. And in some instances, it's something simple. It's like, where do I apply for a scholarship? Okay, you're going to call the Ministry of Education. They have a website. You're going to look there. Okay, I tried maybe doing this with government, but I can't get it done. Okay, let's try this other avenue. Well, I can't get in contact with this person. Okay, let me call the person and see if I can find out what's going on with you. So in that respect, Ron, it's done two things for me. One, it's connected me with people more directly. Mm-hmm. I've been able to give them access. I've been able to learn the processes, because if I'm not sure how to get you a water meter and you're asking me that question, I'm not going to ask you what you've done. I'm going to ask the process, call back and say to you, have you done this? And if you're willing to give me your name, then I'll ask, where is your application at? And if I'm able to get that information, then I feel I've accomplished something. In the bigger sense of it, learning my role and where my perimeters are and how to work with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle as respectfully as possible is something that I'm learning to navigate and appreciate.
Okay.
Because I do think everyone genuinely wants to help the country. And I put myself within that bunch or that bundle as well. So I approach everything in a positive manner, trying to see where someone sits and what is the difficulties in terms of problems that have existed. What have we tried to solve them? How is the bureaucratic red tape keeping us down? And what really can be done about it? And if I can add my voice to the voices before that sought to change things to benefit people and make things, especially access to information, easier, then I'll lend my voice to it. And if I'm the only one who thinks that it needs to change, I'll stand alone and speak up.
I have to dissect those comments there for a second. I'm going to start here. You mentioned about helping, and I asked that question. What are some of the top needs? When you get a call on a regular basis, what are some of the top 3 needs or concerns? What are these calls about from the resident?
Well, most people for me, I would say, is financial. Financial. Okay. People are having a difficult time, and it's not new, where previous calls and there was discretionary funds that you could get from a representative. So, for example, an at-large representative would get $150,000 per annum. Now you get $60,000 and an additional $6,000. The $60,000 is allocated for the setup of an office, running an office. We don't have funds, and even the district reps, they don't as well, to give to persons if they're in need of food, rent, electricity bills, buying books for their children, back to school supplies, just about anything you can think of. So people, some are aware, some are not aware that we do not
have that change.
It. Yeah.
We no longer have access to that.
So, getting frustrated that someone is hurting and needs help is not the way I prefer to go. I prefer to understand this is your need, and I'm going to try and see how I can find out. So that's one. Second one has been immigration issues. Like I've applied for my status, or I'm trying to get my work permit sorted out. And again, some people might not realize that those 2 departments are short-staffed. It's been spoken of several times, and I can honestly say most of the civil servants that I've interacted with, 99% of them have been cordial and friendly, and they're generally trying to do their job. And that hasn't been a different experience from me post-election, because pre-election, if someone called me and I asked someone for a favor, whether it was a civil servant for information, they would gladly give it to me. So I just want the public to be aware of the fact that a lot of the government departments are short-staffed. People are working weekends and long hours, so give them a chance. They will make mistakes, but that has been number 2. And the third thing has been just direction in terms of scholarships. Where can I go and get information? I'm thinking about this career. I don't know how to get there and stuff. And the Ministry of Education is there, and there are other avenues privately outside. Some of them are not as easily accessible, or that information isn't available. So sometimes directing people or just giving them advice, encouragement. So I would say those have been the top 3 things for me of late.
Thank you for sharing. Now you mentioned some $60,000 for district office. Is that something that you hope to establish? So
I've been in conversations with my colleagues about what works best in terms of their experiences, and I've also leaned on former elected officials, former speakers, asking different questions about how things work. I am not eager to spend the government's money. So I want to make sure if I'm going to do something, which I'm pondering right now very heavily, how would it work and how would it benefit first the people of the territory and then myself. As I said before, accessibility is very important to me. So I do have office hours generally on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the House of Assembly office. So, you can contact me directly. My numbers are out there. I'm not hiding. Or you can call the office and ask, to have an appointment with me. But I'm very also cognizant of that I represent the entire territory.
That is correct.
So sitting in Road Town might not be the most accessible for some people. So having another office, maybe visiting someone's office. I've been in conversations, like I said, I'm willing to work with anyone. Speaking with Honorable Vincent Wheatley about perhaps using his office and going to Virgin Gorda. And I just want to directly speak to the residents in the Sister Islands. I haven't forgotten you. I am coming. I've spent the last, as I said, 100 days trying to navigate my job, my role. We all get a job description.
Indeed.
I haven't gotten one. And I've been trying to figure out what that is exactly and how to navigate through it. So, yeah. Now,
also going back to your initial comments, you mentioned about respectfully, and I quote, essentially working along with your other 12 members of the House of Assembly. Persons sometimes tend to look at their colleagues as the enemy. In the greater scheme of personally, I don't believe that whether you're on the government side or in the opposition, that either should be looked at as the enemy. You're essentially, hopefully, while you have different agendas, should be working towards the ultimate goal. But in a nutshell, what has it been like for you interacting and working alongside not only your opposition members, but the members of the ruling government? Stay tuned for more Just for the Record right after this.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. You mentioned about respectfully, and I quote, essentially working along with your other 12 members of the House of Assembly. Persons sometimes tend to look at their colleagues as the enemy. In the greater scheme of personally, I don't believe that whether you're on the government side or on the opposition, that either should be looked at as the enemy. You're essentially, hopefully, while you have different agendas, should be working towards the ultimate goal. But in a nutshell, what has it been like for you interacting and working alongside not only your opposition members, but the members of the ruling government?
I smile before I answer your question. I think party politics, political agendas, after April the 24th should have been put aside. I can speak about myself. I am obligated to the persons who voted for me and those who didn't vote for me. I can't walk around in public and know who voted for me and who didn't vote for me. I can't measure that. So every person that I interact with, I'm your representative. On the opposition, I am of the opposition. I have 100 days worth of experience where the closest to me, I think, would be Honorable Turnbull, and he's now in his third term.
Correct.
So the interactions there are good. I'm willing to absorb the good behaviors that I observe. I'm willing to dismiss those things that I don't think I should be party to or I should duplicate, right? But there's a wealth of knowledge on the opposition. And for the most part, all of the members have been engaging with me and encouraging. The learning curve, as I said before, still is there. I'm trying to take my time to do that. On the government side, I've extended my olive branch to all of the members, willing to work with them if I see a problem that has been brought to my attention before I jump in the media and say, hey, this is what's going on. Try to make them aware of it and ask them what's going on. How can we get it fixed and move forward like that? I'm not about the sensationalism of trying to be on the air, making someone look like they're not doing their job. So if there's an issue and it's been brought to my attention, I'm going to make you aware of it. And if I've made you aware of it several times, then maybe I'll up the ante a little bit with respect. So I would say the government side has also worked with me very well. For the most part, I've received respect from the members there, encouraging words, advice, again, as well. So for now, it's a friendly environment.
Okay, thank you for that. One of the things that you also mentioned was a lot of bureaucracy.
Yes.
There's a lot of tape, red tape, blue tape, yellow tape, and sometimes persons feel once they elect you, you somehow automatically are able to impact and influence change. You and I know that is quite different. It's daunting to think that even as an elected official, you don't necessarily have the power that the general public thinks you have. I want to speak to some of the challenges of governance you've experienced within your first 100 days. Can you speak to that?
So I'll speak as an opposition member and a new parliamentarian and also as a deputy speaker. So just last week in July, I traveled along with other members of the House of Assembly to a Commonwealth Parliamentary Association meeting, a CPA meeting in Turks and Caicos. And sitting among other parliamentarians from around the region, it was humbling and also enlightening. It was very interesting because some of the issues that we have, they're the same. But what I've noticed is the will in other countries to change certain things is stronger than the will we have. Whether it's politically or it's in terms of the civil service, I just found that the will is a lot stronger when I hear people talk, we've done this, we've done that. And, this is highly opinionated and it may come back to haunt me. But I think the will to change things has to be more than just words.
Wow.
So that's that. We also had our CPA UK training last week.
Correct. And
again, that was fantastic. It was like my official orientation into the House of Assembly in terms of standing orders, procedures.
The one you should have got on your first day of the job.
I'm not going to complain about it.
Okay.
I'm grateful that I got it. And it opened my eyes to, I'm an educator. So wanting to learn more about my role, learning from colleagues in other countries. I'm not saying we need to adapt everything they do. But for example, I sat next to someone who's a speaker of the House in the Isle of Man. And it was enlightening to hear him speak and even trying to define what is the role of the deputy speaker. So for example, the deputy speaker, and from my knowledge, what I've been told, the deputy speaker will sit in the seat when the speaker needs to take a break or if the speaker is absent. I think the deputy speaker can do more than that. So one of the goals I'm taking on in the next 4 years, hopefully, or 3.5, I should say, is trying to better define within what is allowed the role of the deputy speaker. What does the deputy speaker do? In terms of governance, last week we started looking at our standing orders for what regulates how the House moves and how it flows. And there are things in the standing orders that do need addressing. Salute the House, Honorable Fraser, Honorable Skelton, Honorable Penn, Honorable Wildwin, for wanting to push and change, and the Speaker and the House of Assembly office for wanting to change our standing orders and move them forward so that there's a little bit more, I would say, accountability. There's a little bit more flow in what happens in the House of Assembly. And I think to answer your question when it comes to that, and then other regulations, which now, we have policies and bills coming forward in the House of Assembly that will need to be amended and updated. So I've noticed that. On the campaign trail, I mentioned a few things. Sex offenders registry. I talked about jet skis. I talked about young people being involved in the blue economy. And I think as time goes, I'm researching these a lot more and trying to figure out how are they working elsewhere and what can we do here. So again, I'm trying not to be long-winded. You did talk about the public having the perception that you can just walk in and cut red tape. No, you can't. And being friendly with people, sitting down with them, especially the civil service, who I genuinely believe wants to change the system, right? But it takes a while to get things done. And I would say the public itself needs to be more vocal. Let the government, the opposition, the elected leaders. I voted for members of the House of Assembly. So I'm going to hold them accountable as a citizen. Tell us what it is you want, because we're there to work for you. So if you're sitting and something isn't working, don't sit and wait for 4 years to say, oh, well, he didn't change it or she didn't do it. Be vocal about it in every way that you can. You voted, which means you have a voice. You pay taxes, which means you have a voice. As long as you're not calling the country down, but you want improvement, vocalize it.
Fair enough. You mentioned, of course, the recent CPA training. One of the things that I observed in our recently held COI was that the lack of preparation and immaturity, political immaturity, as it relates to the procedures, particularly with new members of the House of Assembly, showed its face very blatantly in the COI recommendations. It was as though they were elected, they got the keys to office, and that was it. Having gone through not only the recent CPA training, but the first 100 days, do you feel as though you are prepared or were given an opportunity to be as best prepared as possible, the do's and the don'ts in regards to procedures and policies?
So I would say this to you. The House of Assembly chambers, when we were elected and then officially sworn in, packages were given to us.
Okay.
Being elected as a deputy speaker, the Speaker of the House sat me down. She had conversations with me. The clerk sat me down, had conversations with me. Again, because the senior members are there, Honorable Skelton, Honorable Turnbull, they sat me down, they had conversations with me. They have been very helpful in, Honorable Mather or Buddha, I prefer that. You should do this, you shouldn't do that. I seek advice. And even among civil servants, I keep talking about civil servants. I reach out to them, I'll ask them, is this the procedure? Can I contact you directly or should I go through your PS? I'm not aware, so I'm asking. In terms of House of Assemblies procedures, it falls under the standing orders again. We did have an informal House of Assembly meeting, which gave me some indication as how it is. The Ministry of Finance, I did reach out to them, and Honorable Dawson and Honorable Luz Hart-Smith, we had conversations with them. There is more that can be done.
Okay.
Definitely more that can be done. I can only imagine a person who steps into government, a first timer, and has to grab a ministry. You have to learn how to operate in the ministry. You have to learn how to be a political representative. And you still have, if you have a district or you're at large, you have to figure that out. So I would say that, again, moving bureaucratic red tape out of the way and getting to where we need to be, our process of where you go from being elected to being sworn in, to knowing your role, it can be better. But I'm not going to say that for me.
Fair enough. One of the things that you spoke very highly of on the campaign trail was education and youth development. Our students are now embarking on their Advent school term, 2023-2024 school term. As you reflect on education and youth development within our territory, first 100 days. You are still very much present as the director of the Youth Empowerment Center, still interacting with students. Are you pleased with where we are presently as it pertains to education and youth advancement?
So I'll start with education. I want to congratulate the Minister of Education. I genuinely believe her heart is in the right place and she wants to push education forward. I don't think I'll ever be satisfied where we are until I see more Virgin Islanders receiving scholarships. I won't be satisfied until I see more of our children in schools that are in better condition. I won't be satisfied until our teachers are paid better. I won't be satisfied until the environment surrounding our schools are more attractive, until our curriculum is developed. You know, most recently in the education review, right? And she provided an answer to me. And it shows me that work is being done. And I applaud everyone. I think all the educators in our system, the majority of them, I should say, their heart is in the right place. They're doing what they need to do with the limited resources. But am I satisfied? No, Ron. Because I believe all of us elected and even those in the private sector can do more for our young people. So I won't sit here and try to say that I'm not satisfied, but I am aware of the effort that is being put forward.
Fair enough. At large, you are essentially responsible for all 9 districts, in a
Yes,
sense,
sir.
right? You get the opportunity to interact, so you're not specific to District 1 or District 2. In hindsight, let's say about 3.5 years, what would you like the next 3.5 years of service to the people to look like for yourself? Stay tuned for more Just for the Record right after this. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, Season 5, a To It For Media production. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. What would you like the next 3.5 years of service to the people to look like for yourself?
I want to be accountable. I want to be transparent. And those are words that were thrown around all over.
Absolutely.
In many corners, but I just want to talk about it. My accountability means that when it comes to the public funds that I am afforded, I want to be able to account for them. I will account for them, I should say. You know, my working hours, I want to go to sleep every night. When the 15th and the 30th of the month comes, I want to know that I work for my salary, Ron, because it's taxpayers' money. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to say it's not enough. I'm not going to say this. I believe we will get what we deserve eventually in life. So in the next 3.5 years, 4 years, I want people to come up to me and say, Mather, you did a good job, but I want you to tell me why you think that. I've met people most recently who said, you're doing a good job. And I accept the compliment. I accept the feedback. Tell me what I'm doing that you like. Tell me what I'm doing that you don't like. All I ask is come respectfully to me and I will receive you in a manner and I will respond in the same way. If you're frustrated and you come to me in that manner, it can still be respectable. I'm not saying that I've had many people come to me in manners that I don't appreciate, but I do understand the level of frustration. And in 3.5 years, if God says to me, you know, Stacy, go ahead and do it again, I will not do it unless I feel, 1, I have worked for my salary, and 2, that I can offer more to the people of this territory.
Despite being successful, extremely successful within the recent election, when I say extremely successful, you have to simply put it as that. You're the highest vote getter with some 3,612. Throughout that first 100 days, have you, for any moment, said, I perhaps should not have done this? Have you during this journey, perhaps rethink your decision to run for public office?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think anyone who has done this, and this is their first time in any role, would have second thoughts or doubts. But again, I say this, I am here for a reason. I really believe, you know, God has put me here, but more importantly, the people of the territory have put me here on. And I might not know what it is right now, but in time I will figure it out. So the advice I have been given by most people is continue to be who you are. And I will be as genuine and as authentic as I can for my people, because my time on earth is limited. And as I said during the campaign, I want to plant trees so that generations to come will shade under it. I don't need the recognition of being the person who planted the tree. I just need to look down from wherever I am and know that people are shading under them.
Understood. Is there a particular cause, and I'm sure there are many, but when you look across the territory, is there a particular cause that keeps you up at night that you just have to accomplish? You have to give some attention to by the end of your tenure?
Ron, there's so many things. For me, I think where we live in the BVI, I want to see persons in the Virgin Islands having a better quality of life. And there are a lot of elements to it. It is difficult to go to a supermarket and shop in the territory and not walk out feeling like, what am I working for? It's difficult to go home in many of our districts and not have running water. It's difficult to get a vehicle, drive it in on these roads and then know that it's damaging your suspension and your part. It's difficult to wake up in the morning and go to work and know that some people are making $6 an hour. It's difficult to know that you're paying bills, there's no rent control, there's nothing. And I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that I, one person, can impact all of it. But the one thing I can say that I can do is I will talk about it until I am blue in the face in every room that I enter, to make people or try to get people to, one, understand that, you know, there are people who understand you are hurting. And then secondly, for those who have forgotten what it's like to live in a country where, or live a life where it's difficult, where you have to have 2 or 3 jobs, where you have to choose between rent and food, where you have to choose between, you know, just simple basic needs. They need to be reminded that people are hurting and you can't help everyone. But it comes back to, like, for example, our public assistance grants. It's not working. And social development is the place to have it. It shouldn't be in the hands of the political leaders, but the capacity needs to be greater. The system needs to be more transparent and accessible, and the general public needs to be educated on it. There is no shame in asking for help. There is no shame in asking for help. But at the same time, don't make it so difficult so that by the time I get a piece of bread, I've missed 10 meals. And I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just saying that it's difficult and all of us need to come together and fix it. I don't want to be misquoted on that. There are people who are getting help. I've sent people there and they're getting it. But it has to be an approach that helps everyone in everything that we do, or most in everything we do. It cannot be us only helping a certain segment of our society. And because they're the ones who are screaming and saying you're doing a good job, you believe it.
Understood. I want you to close by speaking to the, and it has to be more than this, because whether they voted for you or not, you now represent them.
True.
So to the people of this territory, the people that call you and stop you, what would you like them to understand most about your role and how they could better assist you in executing your job?
I thank you. So to my fellow citizens in the British Virgin Islands, or as I prefer to say, the Virgin Islands, I appreciate all of your comments and all of your feedback. Your willingness to stop me when I'm somewhere and have a conversation with me is something I welcome. As I move through the territory, please, if you can contact me and you want to make me aware of something, make me aware of it. I'm not saying that I can fix it. I'm not saying that I can adjust it. But the awareness of it when it becomes an issue is something that I can help with. Because if I'm in a room and someone is talking about it, I can add my voice to it. But above all, life in the Virgin Islands is something that's beautiful for many of us. So for those who do have a better life, help others. We are not alone in this struggle, and we will never be alone. 6 years ago, we had a hurricane that devastated us, and we tend to talk about it. And now, as we go through another season, I, like many others, are very anxious. The lessons that we learned in terms of coming together as a community cannot be lost. And I beg people in the BVI, the Virgin Islands, remain who we are, which is a resilient people and a people who believe that better must come. The Virgin Islands is at a crossroads, and we're not sure where we're going. And we need to determine where we're going and not let someone else determine that for us.
Honorable Mather, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ron.
Viewers, you have been watching the Just for the Record series, the first 100 days in office. Today we were joined by the Honorable Stacy Mather, at-large representative and Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly. I'm Ron Grant. You've been watching 284 Media.